Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Garden of Sports. We're your hosts, Zach and Jake Gardner.
Yo!
We're two brothers, and we're podcasting.
Running.
And today we have our Hockey Week 16 preparation episode. We're going to break down the top storylines and surprises of last week, as well as some injury news. And we're also going to prepare for the upcoming week with buy low and sell high trades. And, of course, players to add from waivers with Scoop 'em Up. So we hope you enjoy this week's episode. So we'll break over into surprises of the week. These are three guys that definitely took me by surprise. Mason Marchment on Florida. 26.25 fantasy points, 4 goals and 2 assists in 4 games. He's on the third line, but he has 17 points in 20 games on the season. He missed a lot of time with injury. He got off to a really hot start and then was on long-term IR, and now he's come back for a week or two, and he's continued where he left off at the beginning of the season, 17 points in 20 games. Definitely taken people by surprise so far this year.
For sure.
And then Damon Severson, defenseman on New Jersey, 25.75 fantasy points. He's filling in on the number one defenseman role and on the power play for Dougie Hamilton, who is on IR right now with a jaw injury. So Damon Severson, he's definitely a guy that we've been talking about on the podcast to try and get on your teams in the past. I know I've mentioned him. And he's performing great over the last week. He 25.75 fantasy points, 1 goal and 4 assists in 4 games, 3 power play points. He's definitely on a tear the last week plus.
For
and
sure.
then lastly on surprises, Dylan Strome on the Blackhawks, young forward, 22 fantasy points, 3 goals and 3 assists in 3 games, 2 power play points. In those 3 games, he did all of that scoring, the 3 goals and 3 assists. He did all the scoring in 2 of those 3 games. He had 1 scoreless game. But he seems to be finding his stride as of late. So all these 3 guys, they're definitely worth a stream right now, and we're going to discuss more about them later in the episode. But those are definitely the 3 surprises of the week.
For sure. All right, let's break into it.
So we'll break into storylines. I'm going to start with kind of a fun story off the bat here. We're going to talk about young goalie on Vancouver, Spencer Martin. So this guy, he's been the main goalie on like their minor league affiliate team. Hasn't really, been on the Vancouver professional team at all this year, but this last week, Thatcher Demko and Yaroslav Halak, their 2 goalies, are both out. They had to recall him up to the big league team, kind of like an emergency situation for 2 games. And he put up 2 gems with a 47 save and a 33 save performance, picking up 1 win out of those 2. One of the fun stories in hockey, he was sent back down now. So he's, I was thinking about maybe making him a pickup, but he is officially sent down today to the minors because Demko and Halak are both back now. But he performed great for those 2 games. I just wanted to mention him, shout out to Spencer Martin for making the most of his limited opportunity in the NHL.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
you gotta love it. I was listening to the radio the other day, and they were talking about how NHL is one of the hardest sports, I think, next to baseball, to get to the pros.
It really is.
Like how much it takes and how many like different minor leagues there are. You know what I mean? It's not just super organized enough.
There's a ton.
Worldwide with hockey too. It's like you have to play, if you're overseas, there's all kinds of leagues that you have to play in to get noticed, right? And then there's the colleges in America, but there's also some minor leagues, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I got that wrong. But yeah, that and baseball are the hardest to make it. I mean, they're all hard, obviously, because it's like, what, less than 1% of people are in pro sports. But yeah, it's still crazy what you have to go through to make it. So it's pretty cool to see this.
Yeah, for sure. So I just want to start with something fun like that. And then another big storyline, one of the biggest ones this week, Evander Kane cleared from the NHL investigation earlier this week and immediately signed with the Edmonton Oilers. And then he ended up starting on Saturday's game.
Yeah.
And they put him right onto the first line with Connor McDavid. He scored a goal with 18 minutes of ice time. That 18 minutes, that's kind of a lot. I didn't know if they would be acclimating him in, but 18 minutes. And then he didn't play on a power play. So he got those 18 minutes without any power play time, and you would imagine that once he gets more acclimated to the team, he's going to get on a power play, so he'll be easily up over 20 minutes whenever that happens. Mm-hmm. So with all of that, to me, he seems like a no-doubt ad with that much ice time, not being on a power play and scoring a goal.
Dude should be 90% owned by next week.
And it's just like, with no-name guys, I consider picking them up if they're playing on the first line with McDavid just because they're going to get points. And these are guys that, are fringe NHL players that get up there and get their chance with McDavid and look decent. With a guy like Evander Kane playing on the first line with McDavid, I mean, he should be definitely in the 90% owned. Give me a piece of that.
Yeah, I'm pretty pissed that you grabbed him. He was one of my favorite players to have in fantasy. I don't know, it's kind of how I was introduced to fantasy hockey when I joined with Zach, and I didn't really know any hockey players besides Blackhawks.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the guys I've owned almost every year, besides the last 2 years.
He's a great fantasy player.
And yeah, it's just like he's a good forward, and in our league, you get some hit points, so he kind of does it all, and he's always been around 4 fantasy points in our league because of the extra hit points.
And these are on teams where they don't have a Connor McDavid that he plays with.
Yeah, he was on the Sharks.
Yeah.
So this could be his best year ever. I know it's only going to be less than half a year, but
yeah, he could be putting up great stats.
It's a must add. I still can't believe you. Of course, you beat him to me because you're very much on the NHL news faster than me. But yeah, I'm trying to trade with Zach for him right now. Actually, I just sent over.
Yeah, we're working on something.
I just sent you Kyrou for him. Would you do that?
Okay, we'll be in touch. I'll put you with my receptionist.
Oh my god! All right, whatever, dude.
So yeah, so then I also that's my main storyline. I think just be trying to get Evander Kane. Either get him off waivers if you haven't already, or I think be trying to trade for him if you're desperate like Jake. Be trying to trade for him.
Yeah, I'm just a big fan. I might be too biased. Yeah.
So I just have a quick little rumor going around that Philadelphia Flyers possibly might be blowing it up and trading Claude Giroux, their captain.
Oh wow.
So there's a lot of discussion about him possibly going to Toronto Maple Leafs, and I just think that would be pretty crazy if Giroux goes over to the Maple Leafs. I mean, that would definitely help solidify them for a Stanley Cup run for sure.
Yeah, totally agree.
So I just wanted to mention that real quick. That would be pretty crazy something to watch. Just keep that, just watch for that when the trade deadline comes up. See if Giroux gets over to the Maple Leafs.
For sure. Would that make Konechny better? Because he sucks.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you give everybody a lot more ice time for sure. I think a lot of people would do better from that.
Okay, for sure.
But yeah, we'll just break into some injury news.
For sure, let's do it.
And I have it. There wasn't a ton of injuries this week, and I have it kind of by team, so we can talk about like the teams too from the injuries. So Anaheim, Sonny Milano, he's on IR with upper body. Kind of affects the young guys a little bit because he was performing really good on a line with Trevor Zegras, and Trevor Zegras was performing really good. The two of them had some good chemistry, so I'm sure Zegras can't wait for Milano to get back. Mm-hmm. And on Boston, Tuukka Rask out, lower body. He's injured. He's been kind of struggling since he came back. Has not looked good at all over the last 2 weeks. I think it's a combination that he has a little injury kind of nagging, and they're giving him a break because I don't know if his body's just breaking down on him and he can't perform anymore. But this might be kind of the start of the end of the road for Tuukka Rask. He might be retiring after this year. And it's been a hell of a career for him.
Yeah, damn.
And then Nick Foligno out with an upper body injury. Kind of, just less depth for them. And then on Buffalo, Tage Thompson, day-to-day undisclosed. Will Butcher, day-to-day lower body. Rasmus Asplund, COVID. Victor Olofsson, COVID. And Rasmus Dahlin, COVID. That's kind of like a lot of their best players. Besides Jeff Skinner and Alex Tuck, I mean, all of their best scorers are all out right now with COVID. And so that's just something to watch for sure. And then on Carolina, Toivo Teravainen out undisclosed. He's a game time decision for Sunday, so I don't think it's anything serious. He's probably going to be playing again today. And then Chicago, Jonathan Taves, day-to-day concussion. And even if he gets healed, I think just give him some time to I don't know what's going on with him, but he's having a terrible year. Definitely not what I expected. And then if you haven't had Mark Fleury or been trying to trade for Marc-Andre Fleury, try to trade for him now because Kevin Lankinen just went on IR with a hand injury. He's going to miss 2 weeks. Fleury's going to probably be getting like 90% of the starts over the next 2 weeks, and I'm up for a Fleury start. Even on a crappy Blackhawks team, Fleury will still get you saves and stuff. If he can be if he's like your third goalie on a team and you don't really care so much about wins and you're just looking for extra save stats or, stuff like that, like just peripheral stats, I think Andre Fleury is still worth owning and starting in a fantasy league setting.
Okay.
And then Colorado, Nathan McKinnon out with a nose and a concussion. He got destroyed. I can't remember what team they were playing and who laid the hit on him, but yeah, he got laid out and his nose was completely twisted. It looked very mangled. He's going to miss 3 games and maybe a little longer. We'll see, but just keep monitoring the McKinnon situation. And it's just another rough patch for Colorado, and McKinnon just can't consistently stay on the ice this year. Been a little frustrating. He's been amazing when he's been on the ice, but he can't seem to put 2 weeks together,
Mm-hmm.
And then Edmonton, Tyson Barrie on IR with upper body injury, and Mike Smith on long-term IR with a thumb injury, slated to possibly come back February 11th. So only a couple more weeks if you're holding him. And then Tyson Barrie hasn't really done much this year. Injury, maybe him getting healthy and he could start putting up some points when he comes back, whenever that will be. But he definitely not performing like a lot of people thought he would this year. And then Montreal Canadiens, David Savard out with an ankle, Christian Dvorak out upper body, and Jonathan Drouin on IR with a wrist injury. Kind of Dvorak and Drouin, 2 of their best players. Definitely be monitoring that. On the Nashville Predators, Eli Tolvanen out with COVID. I was predicting a big sophomore year burst from Eli Tolvanen, who finished the year really well last season as a rookie. So far hasn't happened for Tolvanen. They're not putting him in the same positions as they were last year, giving him the same power play time and everything. So he's just not putting up the same stats. But he's definitely a name that's always in the back of my mind for whenever he starts getting more ice time.
Gotcha.
And then New Jersey, Mackenzie Blackwood on IR with the heel, and Dougie Hamilton on IR with the jaw injury, but he's been practicing with the team, traveling with them. So I think he might return later this week. So that would, if you're a Dougie Hamilton owner, be monitoring that because that's immediately their best defenseman back on the ice whenever he comes back. And then the Rangers, Adam Fox on IR with an upper body injury. Definitely be monitoring that. Hopefully he's not going to miss too much time. He's been a lot of people's best player this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ottawa Senators, Josh Norris out with a shoulder injury. He's going to be out a week or 2. Hopefully he can get back soon. And then Drake Batherson on IR with an ankle injury, going to miss 2 months. That's huge because he's been performing very well this season. So that kind of sucks for Ottawa. They're probably going to be losing a bunch of games. For sure losing 2 of their better offensive players like that. And then Philly, Joel Farabee on IR with the upper body injury, going to miss 4 weeks. That kind of sucks. He's one of their best players. And then Kevin Hayes on IR with a lower body injury. Kevin Hayes hasn't really been able to stay healthy at all this year. He's been in and out of the lineup. He's just very frustrating if you're trying to figure out when to play him because it seems like he's always dealing with something. And then San Jose, Mario Ferraro day-to-day with a mouth injury, and Eric Carlson on IR with a forearm injury, so just be monitoring those two guys. Seattle, Jamie Alexiak day-to-day with a lower body injury. And then Tampa, Nikita Kucherov out with COVID-19. Hopefully he'll be back, within that 10-day period and can get back on your teams because he's like going the frick off over the last couple of weeks. He's just been amazing. And then Vegas, Chandler Stevenson out with COVID, so just be monitoring that. And then lastly, Washington, TJ Oshie on IR with an upper body injury. So that just a very frustrating year for TJ Oshie owners. Is never able to consistently stay on the ice at all this season. But he's performed good when he's been on it, but just can't seem to put like a week together. Mm-hmm. So that's all the injuries, everybody. We'll move on to some buy low trades here. And just chime in if you have anything to add, Jake.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with Mark Scheifele. So with Ehlers out for seemingly the rest of the season and possibly the playoffs as well, one would imagine that opens things up for Scheifele, who has not been his normal self so far this year. He's normally a top performer and now is struggling to just be above average. Any owner of him would probably listen to a trade offer, and I think it would be a good move because I think he's going to start getting more ice time and he's going to start getting on a better power play. I think he's just going to start figuring things out and playing a little bit better. So I think that now's the time to buy on Scheifele.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then Matthew Barzal. He's having an okay year so far, but definitely not what we would expect from the Islanders franchise player. He's by far the best player on that team and the leader and everything, and he is capable of lighting it up any given week. He would not cost much right now, and he could be a keeper by the end of the season if everything goes well. I would be trying to get those offers in for a guy like that.
For sure.
And then Mark Stone. Normally, he's one of the top fantasy players with his offensive stats and his defensive stats. He's just always a player that you would love to have on your team any given season. And he's been in and out of the lineup all year. And because of the nagging injuries and COVID, just hasn't been able to get his skates under him. It seems like he's underperformed so far. And this is definitely a time to buy. And it could be similar to Barzal, where Mark Stone could just start going off at any time. And he could be a keeper by the end of the season if, if he performs to his career averages. If he even gets back to just a little bit below his career average, he would be a player you'd still want. So I would definitely be trying to trade for him right now. A lot of people that own him already could be frustrated and would be fine with a trade.
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, Blake Wheeler. This one basically goes hand in hand with Mark Scheifele because they're both on the Winnipeg Jets. He, similarly to Scheifele, is starting to build his numbers back up from his slow start. And with Ehlers being on IR, there's just more ice time for him now. Same as Scheifele. So I would be very happy if I could get a trade together for Wheeler or Scheifele right now on my team. I'd be pretty happy with that.
Sure. What about Evander Kane? Is he considered a buy low if he has only played one game? Like your only chance to maybe go for him?
I don't know if I would think the way I think about it. I'm a Evander Kane owner. I want to see him. I want to see I think he's going to be great. So I want to see him I want to wait about 2 weeks so we could see 2 weeks of numbers on him. And then I feel like at that point I could probably trade for any number of people because I think he's going to perform very, very well.
Wow. Okay.
So that's kind of my look at it. I just want to get some games under him. And then I feel like I could just gauge a better trade because I also don't want to trade him super high right now for something off of one game and screw somebody else over too. I just don't really feel like doing that either. So I want the trade. I want the trade to be fair and people can be like, well, look at that 2 weeks. He's scored 10 goals and.
Well, I'm willing to trade for him now, but
I know, I understand. So we can talk, but I personally think I could get the best value for him if I give him 2 weeks to prove that he's doing great, like I think he will. So,
okay.
We'll break into sell high trades now. Ryan Hartman. These numbers are going to come crashing down to earth. I would be moving off of him and get a decent return as quick as possible before he eventually is a drop. I think he's going to end up on waiver wires before long.
Okay.
So, and then the same thing with Matt Zuccarello. This dude's going to crash back down to earth as well. Right now, you could get something much better for him on the market. I just don't believe in these two guys. They're just lower line guys that are having great seasons. I just don't think it's sustainable. I think they're on just extended hot streaks.
Gotcha.
And then just real quick before we break in to scoop them up, I'm just going to go over a couple guys that I think you can consider dropping at this point. Jordan Binnington, goalie on the St. Louis Blues. He's normally like a top 10 goalie every season. So he's having a very disappointing year. Depending on if you're deep enough to wait it out with him or not, he is not the starter right now, and he's only getting like 40% of the starts or less than that even. I think he's going to get back to more starts soon. I think he's just in a very awful slump right now. I think everything's going to start evening out and he's going to start performing like he has over his career. If you want to wait for that or not depends on where you're at in your playoff rankings and how deep you are, and if you can afford to like just hold a guy and just wait for him to start doing better. But I also think, if the situation was you need to get people on your team to help you win games right now, I think you could safely drop Binnington. It sucks, but like he's definitely been performing like worth a drop for sure over the last like 3 weeks.
For sure.
Like over the last 3 weeks, I don't think I've ever put him in my lineup, and he's gotten like a lot of negative starts. So he's just looked absolutely awful.
Yeah, dude, throw him in the Evander Kane trade. We'll make it happen.
And then Tyler Seguin, he's had a terrible season, and there could be even better players on your waiver wire than Tyler Seguin so far this season. Yeah, he's only averaging 2.7. He's really struggling.
Dallas?
Yeah, he's doing awful. He's doing awful, man. He's like one of their worst players.
He is. I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I think he's safely a drop at this point. He's done nothing to show that he's going to get back to, he hasn't put like 1 week together where he's been great this season. I think that he's worth a drop, but you got to get over that name value. He's an older guy. He has that name value, which is the only reason he's still high owned, but he shouldn't be that high owned.
For sure. Wow. I mean, it'd be a hard drop, though. If you're a good team, you don't want to just give somebody a guy who could go off in the playoffs.
Yeah, but he hasn't shown any reason to be worth like a scoop right now either. So I don't think if you're in a competitive league, a lot of people are going to be scooping him.
10-team drop, but not 12-team.
Yeah. But those are guys, this is consider dropping. This isn't me, like Zach tells you to drop, you idiot.
Nope, Zach said it here.
These are consider dropping.
God damn it.
When you're eating your tea and biscuits, you can consider dropping these players.
Oh my God.
Okay, so, geez, get that British guy out of here. What the hell is that, Jake?
We still need to have Ben on for hockey.
Yeah, we do, definitely. But we'll break into scoop him up right now. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, I added some scoops as well at the end of your list.
I see that. We'll go over that when we get there, but I'm just going to run down a little bit.
Would you have Evander Kane at the top of your list?
Well, no, because I feel like everybody and their mother knows to be picking him up.
If you're playing fantasy hockey. Yeah.
And we already talked about him. I think people are going to be picking him up anyway. I don't need to put him on this list.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with the first three guys of my surprises of the week that we talked about in the beginning of the episode. Definitely be scooping these three guys up this week. Mason Marchment, Damon Severson, and Dylan Strome. I think these guys are all at the very least worth streaming right now, and they could, all three of them, turn into holds. Just got to see how it goes, but I definitely think they should be added. And then we've been talking about him over the last few weeks. Pavel Franco's the backup goalie on Colorado. He's getting like 48, 50% of the starts, maybe like 53% of the starts. No, maybe no. Like it's like 50-50 or like 52-48. Like they're basically doing a 50-50 split, and Francouz is playing great over the last like 2-3 weeks. So he's definitely worth a goalie pickup right now for sure. And then Tyler Ennis. He's worth a stream and see how he does. I don't view him as a long-term ad. I was thinking about putting him into surprises of the week, but I liked the other three guys a little more. And Ennis I like too, and I think he's worth a pickup. But I think he's a very short-term guy. Well, I don't think he's going to continue this hot streak or anything. And then Victor Arvidsson, he's just being consistently decent this year. He is definitely in that realm where he's like the best, worst player on your team. He's a guy that's like on the low end of your team who you don't have to worry about. He's just going to keep getting you that 3 every single game. And guys like that are pretty good to have on it if you're thinking you can make the playoffs and maybe win a championship. And he's a guy that you don't have to worry about. You just added from waivers in like the middle of the season. He's a guy that should be higher owned for sure.
Definitely.
And then Michael Bunting. He's on a hot streak right now, having a great year. Worth a look. He's got 30 points in 40 games, so I mean, not point per game level, but he's doing very, very good. Numbers for a second line guy who's playing on the first line right now with Austin Matthews, and they just can't. He just keeps playing well enough where they're not going to move him off that line, and he's just doing great. Had a hat trick the other night. So just be going to get Michael Bunting. At the very least, worth a stream if you need some goals or something like a categories league, and you can pick him up and hope that he scores a goal. And then Adam Larson, he's a defenseman on Seattle. He's scoring some points right now. He normally doesn't do that. His hitting normally makes him a top streaming option, but with his scoring streak right now, I think he's a hold at least until he cools down, and then he can go back to being like a streaming guy that you put in on like a Sunday.
For sure.
And then I'm going to break into a goalie here real quick. Don't look now, but Matt Murray, goalie on Ottawa Senators, is almost looking like the Pittsburgh Matt Murray of the old days. Has had a hell of a week playing great hockey. Definitely worth a look in some deep leagues, and this is definitely a risky move, but if you look over his last like week or two, he's been playing very, very good. So I think that's a guy you can take a chance on with a young Ottawa team playing a little bit better right now. So those are kind of my guys. Anybody that you're looking at, Jake?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you about Brandon Hagel on the Blackhawks.
Yeah, he's been doing very good over the last week. I think 4.3 average. Like, yeah, in the last 7 games, that's pretty crazy. He's looking like a fine young player for the Blackhawks. He's starting to put some things together, looking more consistent. I like him a lot. I definitely think he's worth a streaming option right now for sure.
Okay. And then just a couple more goalies. I think you kind of need to add Mikko Koskinen.
Yeah, because, he's getting all the starts for Edmonton.
Because Edmonton, since they're improving, that he might not get attacked as much, and the past 3 games has been really good.
Yep.
And then Peter Marazzic, you brought him up last week, but he's still like very low owned, but he's had 2 good games. So
yeah, I like Peter
Mrazek. We should
Marazzic.
still talk about him.
I like Peter Marazzic a lot.
Okay. Yeah, but that's it for me. Those 3.
Well, I think those 3 are also guys you can consider. Like if Koskinen's available, I think you add him.
Yep.
So yeah, I'd be doing that in a second.
Yeah, I probably will grab him. I mean, unless you just do it, but I'll probably grab him today after the games, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it as well, so we'll see who beats each other to it.
Oh my god.
But so before we wrap things up, I'm just going to take a quick look at the schedule for this week. There's only games on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week, and then we break into like the weird next week and the following weeks, the makeup games. So we'll be taking those schedules, as they come, because I'm honestly not. I'm waiting for some of our stuff that we look at for schedules to update, so I'm hoping that happens by next week. But as of right now, this week is correct, and there's only 4 games on Monday and Wednesday, and there's 12 games on Tuesday. So if you're looking to pick up some streaming options, look for a Monday, Wednesday. You get a guy for 2 starts. So if you're looking for a Monday, Wednesday pickup, you can look at the Blackhawks. So this is a great time to be picking up Hagel or Dylan Strome. You'll get a Monday and a Wednesday performance out of them.
Nice. Okay.
And then the Detroit Red Wings, they got Monday, Wednesday, and then the Edmonton Oilers. So, for Evander Kane and Koskinen, picking up, they got 2 games on Monday and Wednesday. They got a game on Monday and Wednesday. So those are some good ones for streaming. And then just Tuesday, 12 games, like everybody's in the NHL is playing those that day. So that's just a very heavy day, not a good day for streaming.
Okay.
So There you go, everybody. That's the schedule, and that's the episode. Thank you so much for listening. Kind of a quick one today, but we went over a lot, and we hope that we helped you with your rosters.
Yes, sir.
So just remember to follow us, obviously on our YouTube channel where you're listening to this right now. Hit up that like button, give us a subscribe, and give us a little comment like, "Good job, you guys are great." That'd just be nice, it'd be nice to see.
True.
So definitely do that. And then while you're doing that, go over to our social media pages, follow us on there. We're starting to get those popping off, getting some followings. We got Facebook, facebook.com/Garden of Sports Podcast. We got Instagram, instagram.com/Garden of Sports. And we got Twitter, twitter.com/GOSPod 2021. So definitely head over there, follow us, and you definitely won't regret it. Best follow of your life.
True.
And and with that, we hope you guys have a great week, and we'll catch you back here next week, everybody.
We will talk to you.
We'll talk to you when we talk to you.
All right. See you, everybody.
See you, everybody.